Today's practice is based on a mindful movement practice, but we're going to start so often as we do by lifting and rolling the shoulders and setting the shoulders back down away from the ears. So this opens the energy channels travelling up to the head. It allows the Udana energy to flow upwards. And then just all 5 energies as we sway from side to side in this almost universal Eastern movement that you find across not just yoga but Tai Chi, Qigong. It's a very soothing side to side rebalancing of the body's energies. Very hard to retain stress and thought patterns when you're just swaying from side to side. How much you sway is up to you. Whenever you find yourself in a queue, clearly swaying with the arms from side to side perhaps might not be the best strategy, but you can gently sway from side to side on your feet. And particularly if you're someone who's prone to lower back issues, standing absolutely still can be quite tricky. So this side to side can help to shift that stagnant energy that seems to accumulate. And then just coming to standstill. And just have your hands, I've got my right hand on top of my left, but it actually doesn't matter. The top elbow leads to the opposite direction as you turn. And then you switch hands so that then, in my case, the left elbow is on the top and I'm leading with my left elbow. And then switching from side to side. So I'm holding an imaginary ball and I've got my right elbow up and I turn to the left with my right elbow leading. And then I switch the hands. And I just swirl from side to side. So this is a little bit like what we've done before, in that it shifts the weight from side to side. And again, this becomes a mindfulness exercise. As you balance the weight slightly from left to right foot and right to left foot. And then the brain hemispheres also are being balanced. And slowing the movement down gives you a chance to really appreciate that slow, gentle movement. In this slow movement, the brain hemispheres have an opportunity to begin to coordinate with each other as they're registering different movement from side to side. And so the left and the right brain hemispheres are beginning to almost, as I said, connect or communicate along the neural pathways. And for people who are perhaps older and have difficulty in balancing, this is a really simple and gentle way to begin to have that balance focus, where you're retaining your feet on the ground, but actually you're also coming to a subtle balance as well. Although balance has many advantages, it's no good if you can't balance in the first place. So this again helps in that way. And then come to the centre, release your hands, just come to place your feet hip width apart and turn your head from left to right to left and to right. Come back to the centre. Just touch your fingertips to the collarbone And just gently, it's a very small circle of the elbows forward. We're not trying to make the elbows touch as in classic yoga, we're just exploring the shoulder rotation. And then reverse the other way. The hip and shoulder joints can cause problems, and particularly as we get older, we're using them all the time and they can be overused. Just release the hands back down. Lift and roll back the left shoulder and drop it down. And lift and roll back the right shoulder. And again, left and right. And you think that everyone's shoulder is the same, and the basic principle of the shoulder and the hip in the socket is the same, but everyone's joints are different. Some are angled at a greater angle, some are narrower, some go in, some go out, some are very shallowly located, so they're prone to dislocating. It just really, everyone is quite different. And then just, you can tap with your fingers, or you can make your fingers in a slight fist and just tap on your K27 energy point, which is just in from the shoulder, just below the collarbone. Almost like you'll see the classic Tarzan type movement. So these energy points are a way to, again, boost the body, wake it up. And then very gently come to slow that down, release your arms, just circle your wrists in one direction and then circle your wrists in the other direction. And to further enhance the brain function, just bring the fingertips together. Hakini Mudras is called, and just look at the fingertips. It's a way, again, of focusing. Hard to think of much else when you're bringing your eyes and focus and attention to the tips of your fingers. If you're trying to think, the ancient yogic texts will say that the energy that escapes from our fingers connects with the energy of the other fingers, and it brings the energy circuits back inside the body, so it enhances our electrical communication patterns or nerves. And then just release your hands and just raise the right arm over to the side, breathing in, stretch up and lower the right arm, and then snake the left arm up, stretching it up, go over to the side. You can use your other hand to support you, come up and lower. Lift and roll your shoulders and clasp your hands behind your back, aiming the knuckles towards the floor, opening at the shoulder heads. Lifting the chest, and then release. And then we're going to come to lying on the floor. In ostensibly what is Shavasana, but we will actually be doing a little bit of floor work here. So lying on the floor, legs out, hands comfortably either hands down or resting on your abdomen, which will open out your lung meridians, your lung space. Just start by circling the ankles in one direction. Waking up the energy, boosting the circulation in the feet, in the body really, and then circle the ankles in the other direction. And then release and relax the feet. Just gently turn the head from side to side a couple of times. And then bend the right knee and place the right foot on the floor and hug the left knee into the chest. This becomes a form of head to knee pose. It's a variation on, the Sanskrit name is a variation of Apanasana. Just hold the left knee statically for the moment. And then you can very gently start to either circle the left knee in one direction or make a horizontal figure of 8, either way. Your movement is probably going to be quite small, and you're just very subtly working the top of the leg bone, the thigh bone, into the hip socket. If you were circling your knee, then circle in the opposite direction. This gentle rotational movement of the top of the leg in the hip socket is one of the easiest, safest and most valuable hip flexibility retainers. It's so good for the rotation of the leg and the hip socket. And then open your left knee to the left and place your left ankle on top of your right leg, above the knee. And placing the hands either palms down on the floor or resting on the abdomen, just sway both knees from side to side. If you feel you'd like to further enhance this, you can either raise just your left arm above you diagonally or raise both arms. But I might suggest the asymmetrical, just optionally raise your left arm up behind you, because it's less hard work on your body. And in this way you open up onto the left arm. So you open into part of the upper lymph system, part of your immune system. You're still swaying your knees from side to side, and raising your arm upwards is optional. You can still stay with your left hand resting on your abdomen. And then very gently bring your knees to the centre, and just as gently lower your left arm if you've had it raised above you. Your knees are still now swaying from side to side as you bring your focus to your right side. And you can raise your right arm above you and just again see if you prefer the opposite arm to be raised rather than the same arm. And your knees are still swaying from side to side. And then very gently lower your right arm. Support your left leg as you remove your left leg's foot from the right and place your left leg on the floor. Just sway both knees from side to side. And now keep your left foot where it is and hug your right knee into your chest. Just enjoy the static hugging the knee into the chest with the left knee bent. Your Apanasana. Apana is one of the 5 energies that the Eastern philosophy, Eastern belief resides in us and needs to move for perfect health. So Apana is the very first one. It's the foundational energy. And it's believed to move from your hips down through your legs, right the way down to your feet. Start to circle your right knee as you're holding it, either in circles or in a horizontal figure of 8. And the movement can be quite small. And then very gently either reverse your circle or reverse your figure of 8. Doing too much vigorous exercise is as detrimental as doing no exercise at all. And when people do too much, they experience a burnout for them, so they push beyond their body's limits. And quite often there's a wearing out or a sort of something goes at the weakest points, and they kind of end up with an injury. They've gone beyond their natural limitations. And then very gently open your right knee to the right and place your right ankle on top of your left leg. And just either hands down or on your abdomen, or you can raise your right arm above your head just as you sway your knees from side to side. And in the swaying, you're massaging across your top of your bottom, but you can also lift your hips as your left foot is supporting you. Your left hand can be resting on your abdomen, or it can be resting on the floor. And then just explore lowering your right arm and see if raising your left arm above your head makes any difference. If you prefer the asymmetrical aspect of the movement. Your knees are still swaying from side to side. And then very gently come to bring your knees to the centre and lower your left arm. Unravel your right leg away off your left leg and then place your right foot on the floor. And just once more to even up, either hands down or hands on your abdomen, just sway both knees from side to side, slightly lifting the hip as you go from one side and then the other hip as you go to the other side. And come to have your knees centrally, maybe your feet slightly closer to your bottom, and a couple of pelvic tilts, flattening your back as if you're going to lift your bottom and then just releasing, so that there's a tiny round space underneath your lower back, flattening and then releasing. The pelvic tilt just starts to move your spine in a very gentle up and down movement while it's being supported by the ground. And then very gently come to centre, and then what we're going to be doing is taking our time to roll over however feels appropriate for you, and take your time to come up. We're going to be coming up to kneeling in cat and cow. So hands are shoulder width apart and knees are hip width apart. And just explore bringing your bottom towards your heels a little bit, and then bringing your bottom slightly forward. And notice when you come forward that might bring weight onto the front of your hands. So bringing your bottom and weight back takes pressure off the hands. And then just begin to sway your hips from side to side. And with your bottom, either trace a horizontal or vertical figure of 8. I'm going for the horizontal figure of 8. And when you circle that 8, you can almost bring your bottom swaying it or circling it back towards your heels. And then the invitation is to swap your figure of 8 and notice which is your dominant side. And for me, I don't complete my 8 completely. There's one side that I just try and miss. And then just tuck your toes, opening the space behind your toes, and just bring your bottom back towards your heels. If that's too much for your toes, then bring your bottom forward to take the pressure off your toes. And I know you're not wild about downward dog, Sue, so come to roll up to standing, however works for you. So there is an option to come up via downward dog, pushing the bottom away from the hands, but either way, just come to rolling up very slowly to vertebra by vertebra, coming up to standing. And lifting and rolling the shoulders. Press the feet down, they're hip width apart. Tense your knees and release them. Just press into your hips to lift your heart space and release. Lift and roll your shoulders and then turn your head from side to side. So here the body is perfectly balanced. It also is balanced above the legs. And should be a total symmetry of Tadasana or mountain pose or Samastiti. Different traditions seem to call it different names. And then circling your arms. You can always bend your elbows if your shoulders are stiff. Bring your arms through the centre. Bend your knees. And just slide your hands down to your shins. Press your hands into the shins and have a sense of lengthening along your spine from the tailbone to the top of the head. And breathing out, softening your knees, press your feet down, and you can use your hands to support you to slide up your body, raising the hands up, looking either forward or up, and lowering the hands back down alongside you. Lift and roll the shoulders. So step out into a wide-ish triangle and turn your left foot in and your right foot out. So this becomes warrior 2. Soften your front right knee and just place your hands on your waist. So look beyond, turn your head to look right as if you were extending your right hand. This might be enough for you, you're dropping your weight centrally. If you want to come into warrior, try extending your right hand first, looking beyond your third finger. That might be enough for you. You might get a better extension. And then optionally you can lift your back hand. But again, I find that I don't do such a good warrior as if I lower my back left hand and just place my left hand on my waist. They're all optional. And then raise your right hand and look up to your thumb. If your left hand is on your waist, that's fine. And then breathing out, lower your right hand. Just release and drop both hands. Turn your right foot back to where we started, and then turn your right foot in and your left foot out. And again, just place both hands on the waist and turn to look beyond over your left shoulder, dropping your weight centrally and slightly bending your left leg. Your left knee should be aiming towards the second and third toes. And then you can try lifting your left arm, looking beyond your left hand. And you can stay like this, or you can explore the full warrior option. That's quite a big stretch out. If you are in full warrior, which I can see you are, just feel that someone's holding your back right hand and pulling you back. Come to place your right hand on your waist again. Raise your left thumb upwards and look up at your left thumb. Lower your left arm, release your right, and bring your left toes back so that you're back to your A shape with your legs. And then just check that your feet are either parallel or your heels are out slightly. Soften your knees and slide your hands down your shins to place your hands either on the shins or place your hands on the floor. Once you're on the floor, particularly if you're quite tall, you might like to widen your feet again a little bit. It's a forward bend. Just staying here for an in and an out breath. You can walk your hands to the right and your left hand can hold your right shin outside of the calf and right hand goes on the right waist, turning to the right, either looking straight ahead or looking up. Take an in and an out breath. And then come back to a forward bend with your hands on the ground and walk your both hands over to the left. Your right hand holds your left outer calf, really, and your left hand holds your left waist, and turn to look to the left, either looking up or along, straight ahead. And then come back, hands on the centre. Heel toe your feet in, so heels in and then toes in, to a point where you're comfortable. Bend your knees and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. And lift and roll your shoulders. And those warrior and almost triangle variations are a very soft way to open the body. Sometimes I wonder warrior 2 is quite simple, but if you do it one arm at a time, it really opens the socket and very safely. But anyway, so just lift and roll your shoulders and then come to circle your hands upwards, clasp and reverse. Just lift your heels and see how your balance is today. And then breathing out, lower your heels, lower your hands to the waist, and do the same again, just lift your heels and test your balance. And then breathing out, lower your heels. And this time just bend your right leg. Keep your right toes on the floor, unless you're fantastically wonderful at tree. And just bring your hands to the heart centre. If you want to slide your right leg further up your left, I wobble straight away. Please do that. Otherwise, keep your toes on the ground. Pressing the palms together begins to tone up under the arms. And then just release. And come to the other side, moving your left, opening your left leg out. Placing the feet on the ground. If you, I'm not even wobbling there. If you want to raise your proper tree, please do. But just keep your toes on the ground. So any kind of balance focuses the mind. And then just release. Just sway once more from side to side. And I'm quite interested. In this sequence, you would lie on your tummy, but a lot of people don't like getting down on their tummies. So I'm wondering if kneeling upright is preferable. So you must tell, is kneeling upright preferable for you or lying?
My stomach.
You don't mind?
Yeah, no, I quite like it.
Okay, hands together, and then come to lie on your tummy.
There's plenty of padding there, so.
Yeah. Well, actually, lying on your tummy is supposed to be very good for any fat that we might have there. So coming to lie on your tummy, I'm going to suggest coming into Sphinx pose. So elbows on the ground. And just adjust yourself and press your elbows into the ground, almost pull yourself forward. Your head's looking down so that the back of your neck's extended. And adjust your elbows so that you feel that this isn't any effort. It should be really quite a relaxing pose. In restorative yoga, they might keep you here for, quite 3 to 5 minutes, looking down. But while you're here, it becomes a back bend because you're very gently lifting from the chest. Cobra, which is almost, I think it's sister pose, is stronger and can cause more, it has more benefits, but Cobra is quite strong on the lower back. You bring your arms, your hands in, lower to your chest and your elbows in, and lifting up. That, I don't enjoy that quite so much, but so I'm going to suggest keeping into Sphinx unless you really fancy a Cobra. Just wobble your heels from side to side. Let the heels drop out. Wobble your bottom from side to side. Jelly wobble. If you've got sciatic issues, tuck the right toes under you. Lift the right, extend the right heel and lift the right leg off the floor. And then release backwards, back down. Tuck the left toes, extend the left heel and lift the left leg up. And then release, left leg back down. And then open the elbows out to the side, one hand on top of the other, and you can either turn the head to the right or to the left or look down. Open the knees slightly wider, bend the soles of the feet to the ceiling, and just sway your feet from side to side like a windscreen wiper action. So this would be a modification of bow. Bow is when you hold your ankles, but this very gentle swaying from side to side is very opening for the front of the hips. You're rocking from side to side, it's massaging your tummy for you. You can let one foot drop into the centre and then the other one if you want a variation. You might like to turn your head to the other side so that you're evening up your neck. And then very gently come to lower your feet to the ground. Bring your knees slightly in to be more comfortable, and then sliding your hands back to press down. We're going to be coming to child's pose. Now, a classic child has your knees together, which is very uncomfortable, and so the variation would be knees apart, big toes together. But the advantage of the knees together is that it massages any fat in your stomach, and the knees act to increase your lung capacity, but it is quite uncomfortable. So I was going to suggest knees together, knees apart, big toes together. But again, bringing your bottom back might be too much for your knees, so you can lift your bottom up. If you do lift your bottom up, then come onto your elbows. Otherwise, just bring your bottom back and just stretch your arms out in front of you. If that's too much, your head's down at too much of an angle, make fists with your hands and rest your forehead on your two fists. so that your forehead and the back of the neck, everything's parallel almost to the ground, and that's very restful because the blood's in line with the heart. So you're still coming forward, but it's more restful for the head. Anytime your knees are dodging, just lift your bottom up, and that takes the pressure away from your knees. And just feel as you're relaxing into this pose, that your lower back is beginning to stretch out a little bit, and then release and let go. And then very gently press your hands down into the ground to gently lift you up. And we're going to come to sitting in cobbler's pose, so that's soles of the feet together. And Sue, if you'd like to give any focus for today's cobblers, or then pea or butterfly.
Let's do where your instep is.
Yes.
Where it's nice and soft. That's your stomach and digestive area. So you do circular movements in a clockwise direction.
Oh, it's lovely.
Because that's the way that the digestive system goes. So clockwise, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Not that it doesn't matter that much, whatever the easiest, but it's very. Sometimes if you're a bit sort of bunged up inside, so a sort of circular motion like this can actually sort of release you a bit. So it's worth doing, but maybe not too hard because you don't want to be released too quickly.
No, brilliant.
It's nice though. It's just generally a very soft area of your instep is where your stomach is.
Okay.
It's a very soft bit, and then just a bit further in and down is the lower digestive system.
Oh yes. Yeah, I can feel it. It is very soothing. If ever I could buy a machine that would sensibly do that for me, I would.
You need to train Phil.
Yes. Phil loses interest.
Well, no, it does. After about 2 minutes, he says everything aches, so he has to stop.
There's the start. I know, it's so disappointing, isn't it? Oh dear. Oh, lovely. And then very gently bring your hands underneath your knees to support them with your thighs, and open your legs out into a V, just bouncing your legs. You can massage or pat your legs just to distribute the circulation up and down. And then just slide your hands down your shins. It's a forward bend. You don't have to be anywhere or do anything. Wherever your hands reach, that's fine. If you've got long arms, you might like to hold your big toes, but I really do think a lot of this has nothing to do with flexibility, actually. It's simply the length of your arms. I can touch my big toe without even thinking about it, which doesn't reflect flexibility at all. It simply reflects I've got long arms. So just coming forward. If you extend your heels, you're activating the inside of your legs. You'll feel the legs switching on. So when we stand up, it's very easy to switch off muscles. And you think you've got both muscles either side of you, inner and outer muscles of the leg supporting you, and sometimes that's not happening. A good way to work out is to tense your knees and just feel which muscles become hard either side of your upper legs, what muscles the knees are switching on. They're just coming forward. Forward is always calming for the brain and the nervous system. But the strange thing is that, like anything, it's a variation. So although coming forward is great, if you come too far forward and it's straining you, or you get buzziness in your head because there's too much blood going there, or there can be streams of it, or you're knackering out your tummy or the hips coming forward. So there's always a happy medium that works for individuals, which is why the same pose can be done in so many variations to suit individual needs. And then very gently slide your hands up. Bring your legs closer together. I've still got mine slightly apart. And then just bring your hands behind you and just press your hands down, lifting your chest. And just raise your chin and your eyes in a controlled way, a few inches upwards. I've got a singing bowl in front of me, so I would have my legs slightly closer normally. And then just come back. And then coming to lying on your back, hugging your knees into your chest. Just rocking from side to side. And your rock can be, as you're hugging your knees into your chest, can be really rocking onto the right elbow, the top of the elbow, the right arm, and then back to the centre and rolling completely over to the left. If you roll completely from side to side so that you're coming onto the top of your back of your arm, you're beginning to massage across the back of your head as well. And then come to the centre and just hug your knees in, still holding them, let them drift away. So it's just a subtle movement up and down across that L4, L5 vertebra. And then very gently let both feet go to the floor. A couple of pelvic tilts just to feel that you can press your feet down and be comfortable. You might have moved slightly. A couple of pelvic tilts. Just have your feet slightly further apart to the edge of the mat and the knees are resting together. It's called constructive rest. Just roll your head from side to side. And gently bring your attention to your feet. Just make sure your feet are relaxed. Your shins and calves are relaxed. The knees touching each other are relaxed. The hips resting on the floor are heavy, connecting with the mat and with the floor are relaxed. The body is relaxed, lying along the floor. You're releasing at the shoulders, so the shoulders are down and relaxed. You can just gently move your head from side to side. Take a moment, have a thought for the day, setting your intention. And then just very gently rub your hands together, creating a friction and an energy, activating those little nadis in the hands. And then just place your hands over your closed eyes and gently open your eyes into your palms and just gently smooth or move your palms away from your eyes so that you're connecting once more back to the day. And then you can either stay here, bringing your hands to your forehead, thumbs touching your forehead, taking a mental bow for yourself for the day ahead. And you can stay here if you'd like, just drifting away and relaxing further. Or if you want to come to a seated position, then hug your knees into your chest once more, rocking from side to side. And then taking your time to come to a seated position to end the class.